session will be joined by Andreea from EGDF and RGDA, as well as Kristina, if I can also invite her already up to the moderation or up to the floor, or if she wants to stay there. We want to keep a kind of casual atmosphere so we can walk around at the end of the day. So I see that Andreea is with us. So the first presentation will be...
Hello.
Hi, Andreea, over to you.
I'm happy to be here with you, even in online. Greetings from Turkey, where I'm spending my last 2 days of vacation. So the idea that I wanted to talk to you about obviously is to share a bit of information in terms of how the industry looks like in Eastern Europe, in Romania, but also in Europe, since I do have the data available in my capacity as Vice President of the European Game Developers Federation. What I wanted to share with you a bit is, first of all, a few data on how the industry looked like actually in 2020, which is the latest report we have data on. At this point in 2020, we had over 170 game developer publishers in the European Union, with over 4,600 game developer studios. This is a very nice number. If you look at it alone, it's obviously not so nice anymore when you look at it in comparison with the US, for example, which always has more than double any of the number of things that we talk about. So, for example, if we're talking about, let's say, 74,000 people employed in the EU and more than 80,000 people employed in Europe as a whole, then we are looking at the US, for example. They have over 143,000 direct jobs in video games. If we're also looking at the potential it has in terms of turnover, I'm looking now at the total turnover earned by local game developer studios in Europe, and it goes a bit over 16.6 billion in the EU, and maybe one more billion up if we're talking about Europe as a whole. Looking at as a comparison in the US, we have over 90 billion in economic output, right? So the discrepancies are quite big, and obviously Europe is still lagging behind the US, Northern America actually, because Canada is also very big in numbers, but also Asia, Southeast Asia, East Asia, Japan, Korea, and so on. Obviously, China is a big part of gaming today, and we're lagging behind. And the reason why I'm saying this is because it has a lot to do with why we're gathered here today, which is IP, original IP. So the creation of original IP is what actually takes us forward, what takes us from lagging behind, what takes us from so much untapped potential to what we can achieve if we focus on the creation of original IP more and more in Europe. This is obviously something that needs to be done with the help of national authorities, European authorities, And obviously, us as trade associations, since I represent the Romanian Game Developers Association, Kristina, who's joining me in the panel, represents the Serbian Association, and together we are in the European Federation, which is EGDF, which I'm proudly representing today. So us as an association, we need to make sure that the authorities know and are aware of the huge potential that this industry has, first of all, in terms of turnover, in terms of money, in terms of people employed, in terms of added value per person employed, which is also very, very big in comparison with any other manufacturing, for example, job or industrial job as well. And making sure that authorities know that we need their help to have this industry and this potential lifted off the ground. So I guess what I'm trying to conclude here is that we need to make sure that in such a risky business as our industry is, because it is, I mean, most of the games, most of the original IP created in the world fail to attract consumers, fails to attract players, and reaches a shelf that no one knows about. However, the times that it does succeed, original IP can create huge momentum, great turnover, and great innovation, and even great technological innovation. So this cannot be said enough. The way that authorities at the European level, but also at the national level in Europe, deal with the empowerment of game developers to create original IP is vital for the development of this industry. We need to make sure that they do know that. Another thing that's very, very relevant in terms of what's happening in Europe and what's happening in Eastern Europe specifically is obviously the lack of talent. The lack of talent in what sense? So historically, we have been quite fortunate, us in Romania, but also in Eastern Europe and Serbia, I'm sure as well, to have great engineers, great software developers, programmers. These people were the core that created this amazing communities that we have now with game developers. However, these people can't do it alone. So especially when we talk about, when we don't talk about outsourcing and we talk about creation of original IP, we need artistic talent. What that means that we need game designers, crucial, artists, 2D artists, 3D artists. So people that are talented but actually know how to use digital art and make digital art, right? Level designers, animators. These are jobs that in general don't have much awareness in our countries. Us as trade associations, we need to make sure there's awareness for these jobs. We need to make sure that every child today learning in school today knows that if they want to become game designers or level designers, they can do that because that's an actual job and an actual career path. And then after awareness, also we need to make sure that their parents know. And after awareness, obviously, we need to make sure that if they want to do that, they don't have to do it alone, in the sense that they have educational opportunities in their country in which they can learn how to become game designers, level designers, 2D, 3D artists, in a cheap and easy way. So making sure that we have creative talent is very, very important in Eastern Europe, but also in other countries in Europe where this isn't the talent that the industry, the new talent that the industry receives, is not enough for the potential that it has to actually accumulate and assimilate that. So this is something that's very relevant and very important for us to do. So lack of talent, creative talent especially, but not even for programmers, we find ourselves in the situation that we can always assimilate more if we have more. Then since we've talked about funding and we've talked about talent, another thing that's important when we're talking about the creation of original IP is boldness. So we need to be bold. We need to be bold in Europe, but we definitely need to be even bolder in Eastern Europe, because we lack the entrepreneurial culture that countries like people in countries like the US, for example, have. So we need to make sure that we are bold enough to take risks and create something of our own. And then afterwards, obviously, making sure that when we do that, we do it the right way. I think what this industry lacks, what this industry has for sure, is passion. What this industry lacks is passion for business. So we need to understand that studios that develop games are businesses, are not only about games, are not only about passion, are about how you manage your team, how well you manage your team, how you get through those deadlines, how you market your game, how you communicate about your game, how you pitch your game to investors and publishers, how you create games that are actually enjoyable for people and that can actually have a market out there. So don't only create games that you think are nice, but also make sure that if they are nice for people to play and enjoy. And I think this lack of entrepreneurial culture and entrepreneurial education is something that we still have to work on, especially in Eastern Europe, but definitely still a thing in Europe as a whole. The situation is not bleak, in the sense that this year we are celebrating actually record amount of funds being put available by the European Union for the games industry. We have over, let me check the numbers so that I don't say them wrong. So we have the European Union in 2022 invest roughly around 18 million on funding calls dedicated explicitly to the games industry, and more than 40 million on other games industry related calls. So this is quite a good amount of money. I'm also happy to state that Serbia can also benefit from a lot of these funds as a third-party national Serbians. And apart from this, I think this is already in Europe, it's becoming a race to the bottom for state funding grant schemes for creation of original IP. The best countries in Europe in terms of game development industry have a lot of help from the authorities in terms of funding for people to take that leap of faith, lift off the ground and risk and create original IP. So countries like Finland, for example, are an amazing example on how public funding has helped spark and has helped tap on a potential that was there, obviously, for the gaming industry. Another example is closer to home, and it's Poland. If we're talking about the creation of original IP and the creation of successful original IP in Europe, we're obviously talking about, first of all, about two big companies. And those are Ubisoft, obviously, in France, and then it's CD Projekt Red, from a country like Poland, which is Central and Eastern European, which wouldn't come to mind specifically, if you don't know the gaming industry well. You wouldn't think that actually Poland is a front runner in Europe for original IP and successful original IP like CD Projekt Red. But not only, you have 11-bit studios and other super big and successful studios in Poland. And the reason being, Polish authorities understood the potential and helped foster a community there that is bold, that is successful, that knows how to make games and knows how to market games and knows how to make successful games. So we don't have to look far. We have to look at the best practices examples in Europe and make sure that our countries like Romania, for example, and Serbia know that as well, and go on with supporting the community to create amazing games and original IP. And I think that's very relevant. Us in Romania, we are one step further towards that. We have created a 70-page grant scheme solution, which we presented to the government. The Ministry of Economy knows about it. We are working now together with them to finalize it, and we hope that in the months to come we will get the approval of the government and the parliament, and then make it official for next year. I hope this happens in Serbia soon enough as well, because to be able to be front runners in Europe and to be able to be front runners in game development in our countries, we really need to invest money in it, and we need to invest money wisely, which is we need to invest money in the creation of original IP. Thank you. I hope I didn't speak too much. You know, Ryszard, you know me well already. You know that when I start, I can't stop.
Sorry. Yes, absolutely. I do know you well, Andrea, and I know myself well. That's why I always remind everyone about the timing. So perfect timing. Thanks so much. We'll leave the time for questions. We'll see. We have to catch up about the time. We have to catch up a bit. But Kristina, if I can kindly ask you to join us and have your presentation, that would be great. Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the welcome. My presentation will actually be in Serbian, so I'll kindly ask everyone on Zoom to switch to the English channel, and everyone present to use your headphones, please. And also, someone forgot their glasses. Da se prebacimo na srpski, pravit ću pauze zbog prevodioca, tako da imajte razumevanje i ako pričam malo sporije. S obzirom na to da nas očekuje dosta predavanja danas, mislim da je ok da stvari prvo stavimo u neki kontekst. Zato bih voljela da prvo malo porazgovaramo o tome kakva je situacija u gaming industriji Srbije specifično i ukratko naravno ću malo predstaviti SGA. Mi smo nevladina, neprofitna organizacija koja je osnovana u martu 2018. Znači nešto više od 4 godine i značajno je da su naši osnivači bile kompanije i studiji Srbije koji se bave proizvodnjom videoigara i da su oni u tom trenutku bili potpuno različiti u smislu veličine tima, gradova iz kojih dolaze i vrste igara na kojima rade. Bio nam je prioritet da imamo taj neki dobar poprečni presek ekosistema i da imamo prisutne sve različite aktere iz ekosistema da bismo čuli njihove specifične potrebe, probleme i naravno uspehe. U kreaciji SGA bili smo inspirisani sličnim asocijacijama iz Evrope, poput RGDA, iz kojeg je Andreea koju smo malo prevideli, i sve te asocijacije, moram da kažem, su bile vrlo otvorene i spremne da podele njihovo iskustvo sa nama, da ne pravimo neke slične greške, da sve to uradimo mnogo brže. Da vidimo sada ko sve spada u taj naš ekosistem i u našu kreativnu zajednicu. Prvo, od tih članica osnivača u martu 2018. do sada smo stigli do preko 120 članova. Mislim da je ovo stvarno jako dobar pokazatelj koliko brzo ova industrija napreduje i razvija se. I bitno je naglasiti da naši članovi nisu samo kompanije, studiji i timovi koji se bave proizvodnjom videoigara, već i nekih drugih srodnih usluga kojih ima sve više. U to spadaju, na primjer, kompanije koje rade izradu trailera i sinematika, aseta za ovaj art deo industrije, narativci, ljudi koji rade voice-overe, na primjer playable ad studiji, dakle sve više i više nekih specifičnih za koje se pomaljaju iz industrije. Pored naših članova, naravno tu je i mreža naših partnera i prijatelja. Neki od njih učestvuju u ovom današnjem događaju i tu smo vrlo zahvalni. Ova zajednica je nekako rasla organski vremenom i mislim da je izuzetno bitno da izađemo iz okvira naše industrije i što više se umrežimo sa nekim drugim institucijama i organizacijama čije znanje i iskustvo mogu da nam budu podrška u daljem razvoju. Ono što smo takođe planirali da uradimo od samog početka i desilo se, ja mislim, pre neke 2 godine, postali smo članovi pomenutog već EGDF-a, odnosno Evropske federacije game developera i ISFE-a, još jedne krovne organizacije. To nam omogućava da sedimo za stolovima gde se zaista donose važne odluke na nivou nekih policija, procedura, što je možda najbolje prilagodljivo za Evropsku uniju, ali svakako oni se trude da podele njihovo iskustvo i sa nama i da ih nekako prilagodimo ovom našem istočnoevropskom ekosistemu. Takođe, ne bismo mogli da razgovaramo o bilo kakvom rastu i razvoju ekosistema bez da ga na prvom mestu izmerimo. Zato smo, od kada postoji SGA, uveli objavljivanje godišnjih izveštaja o stanju gaming industrije u Srbiji. Na osnovu vrlo detaljnog upitnika koji popunjavaju naši članovi formiramo ovakav izveštaj svake godine. Sva ova 4 izveštaja koje vidite se nalaze na našem sajtu SGRS. Možete ih nekad, kad ste dokloni, prelistavati, videti kako se razvija ekosistem, ali ću ja iskoristiti ovo vreme koje imamo danas da zapravo malo dublje uđemo u neke informacije koje bi vama mogle biti relevantne pred ovaj događaj danas i sva predavanja i radionice iz izveštaja za 2021. koji smo objavili u aprilu ove godine. Da pogledamo neke od tih osnovnih podataka. Prva stranica se tiče kompanija i šireg ekosistema. Ono što odmah možete videti na mapi je da je većina naših članova naravno aktivna u Beogradu, ali takođe i u Novom Sadu i Nišu. Zaista bi ova decentralizacija trebalo da bude neki fokus u budućnosti svih nas koji smo ovde, svi zajedno treba da radimo na tome. Druga stvar koja je vrlo bitna je da procenjujemo da ima oko 130, sada već sigurno 140, ako ne i više, entiteta koji se u Srbiji bave proizvodnjom videoigara i pružanjem usluga. U to spadaju kompanije. Kada kažem kompanije, mislimo na biznis entitete koje imaju, ajde da kažemo, iznad 50 zaposlenih. Kada kažemo studio, takođe mislimo na registrovane entitete koje imaju bilo gde između 10 i 30 zaposlenih do 50. Kada kažemo timovi, mislimo na neregistrovane, neformalne grupe ljudi, da se tako izrazim, koji zajedno rade na igrama. Ono što je Relja već spomenuo, a što nam je jedan od highlighta ovog dela izveštaja, je da 57% naših članova radi na originalnom IP-u. Samo 8% se bavi outsourcingom, ostalo je negde ravnomerno podeljeno na obrazovanje i pružanje usluga. Opet, kada budete imali vremena, možete detaljnije pogledati ovo i ostale stranice. Dakle, da još jednom podvučemo, skoro 60% naših članova razvija originalni IP, a ono što treba, izvinjam se, da unapredimo je ta decentralizacija. Ono što je ljudima naravno uvek zanimljivo, što nas svi stakeholderi i mediji uglavnom pitaju na prvom mestu, su prihodi. Srpska gaming industrija je prihodovala u toku 2021. 125 miliona eura. I recimo da obratimo pažnju na ovu piramidu, ne znam koliko dobro se vidi, ali ja ću vam pročitati, 60% naših ispitanika i članova zarađuje od direktne prodaje igara ili in-app purchases. To znači da oni od rada na svojim igrama mogu da dalje proširuju timove i rade na sledećim projektima. Još jedan deo ovde, desno od piramide sa ovim kockicama, je nešto čega se i Andreea dotakla u njenom obraćanju, a to je da sve više naših timova priprema prijave na različite državne i evropske fondove. Tu će im pomoć i znanje iz svih tema koje se tiču IP-a biti i tekako od koristi. Ono što je još bitno da napomenemo je recimo pitanje nekih investicija, zapravo rekordan broj od 45% naših članova će ove godine aktivno tražiti investicije. One se kreću negde do 500.000 eura za tu neku prvu ruku i to bi im definitivno omogućilo neku nezavisnost i peace of mind, da se tako izrazim na engleskom, da se posvete radu na svojim projektima. Dakle, još jednom da podvučemo, ukupni prihodi 2021. 125 miliona eura. Još jedna stvar o kojoj volimo da pričamo i koju volimo nekako uvek da razložimo su zaposleni. U gaming industriji Srbije trenutno radi oko 2300 profesionalaca iz stvarno najrazličitijih oblasti. Ono što je zanimljivo je da opet rekordnih 70% naših članova planira da širi timove ove godine i ukupno će u toku 2022. biti otvoreno 450 novih pozicija. Na nama je svima veliki zadatak da smislimo kako ove pozicije da se ispune u budućnosti. Nedostaje nam ekspertize iz svih polja i naravno svih senioriteta. I zapravo trenutno 3 pozicije koje je najteže popuniti su producenti, game dizajneri i stručnjaci za monetizaciju. 30% zaposlenih u Srbiji su žene i devojke, što nas zapravo svrstava po zvaničnom izveštaju EGDF-a u prvu državu u Evropi po ovoj statistici. Ovo je nešto na čemu ćemo naravno nastaviti da radimo. Što se tiče samih projekata, situacija je vrlo slična kao u ostatku Evrope. Većina timova radi na mobilnim i na PC projektima. Možete detaljnije u izveštaju videti sve ove male brojke koje su tu razložene, a tiču se veličine tima koje radi na igri, budžeta koji se troši za igru, vremena kojim je potrebno za development. Definitivno je mobilni deo industrije nešto što preporučujemo novim timovima, jer tu mogu uz mnogo manje budžete i manje timove da se oprobaju u radu na svojoj prvoj igri, da upoznaju pipeline i zašto da ne na možda malo prostijim primerima da uđu u sve teme koje se tiču IP-a. Ono što mislim da je apsolutni highlight celog izveštaja je da su srpske igre preuzete i kupljene 370 miliona puta u toku 2021. Ono na čemu treba da poredimo je broj igara koji izlaze. U 2021. objavljeno je samo 35 igara, moram reći samo, jer se taj broj zapravo smanjuje iz godine u godinu. Treba da vidimo zašto se to dešava. Ono što bi možda vama bilo zanimljivo u kontekstu današnjeg dana je da je oko 60% igara self-published, odnosno da su ih ljudi sami objavili, što znači da i dalje imaju neke rezerve kada je u pitanju saradnja sa izdavačima, odnosno publisherima i investitorima. Znamo iz razgovora sa našim članovima da su neki imali odlična iskustva sa publisherima, neki srednja, neki loša, tako da nadam se da je to nešto što će naši predavači isto spominjati u toku dana. I naravno što se tiče ekosistema imamo i taj vrlo detaljan deo u izveštaju. Tu uglavnom pitamo timove da nam transparentno kažu šta je to u biznis okruženju što ih sprečava da bolje rade na boljim igrama. Ovo su neki od highlightova. Naravno, pitali smo ih koja je to podrška koju očekuju od države. Većina njih je rekla da su to zapravo tax incentives, odnosno malo bolje prilagođeni uslovi što se tiče poreza. I ovde su još pobrojane neke druge stvari. Naravno, to je uvek velika količina administracije koju nekako još nisu uspeli da savladaju, prijavljivanje na fondove, gde isto ponekad odustanu kada vide onu prvu prijavnu stranu. Tako da to su stvari u kojima apsolutno moramo da ih podržimo u budućnosti i naravno traženje adekvatnog kadra, o čemu smo već pričali. I takođe smo ih pitali koji su to faktori koji negativno utiču na rast kompanije i razvoj timova, opet visoki porezi, nedostatak finansiranja, kompleksna administracija i visoki troškovi otvaranja biznis entiteta. Ono što sam zaboravila da kažem, a možda je bitno, vratit ću se na taj slajd časkom, je da je oko 60% entiteta koji se bave gamingom kod nas registrovano kao DOO, oko 24% operišu kao paušalne agencije i 13% nije prijavljeno ni na jedan način. To vam isto možda korisno da znate pre današnji dan. Kao što sam rekla, sve ove detalje možete naći na našem sajtu sga.rs, pogledati ovaj izveštaj. Merenjem svih ovih parametara bavimo se još od 2017. Tako da u ovoj trend tabeli možete vidjeti kako su se te stvari kretale do sada. Zapravo sve statistike su u rastu, u zapravo dobrom rastu od preko 10% iz godine u godinu, osim ovog broja objavljenih igara, što sam već rekla da je nešto na čemu treba da radimo. Ne bih vas više zadržavala, ostaje nam stvarno dosta malo ozbiljnijeg rada u toku dana. Radujem se učešću na panelu i molim vas, slobodno se povežite, skeniranjem QR koda odlazite na moj LinkedIn profil, slobodno mi se javite uvek, možemo dublje da razgovaramo o nekim od stvarima koje sam napomenula. Dosta radim sa našim članovima, pa nekako imam prst na pulsu gaming ekosistema i naravno sve informacije su na našem sajtu SGRS. Hvala vam puno na pažnji i uživajte danas.
Hvala, Kristina, and we're running late on time, but we have a few minutes for just a few questions, perhaps in that case. And if I can then turn with the same question both to Andreea and to Kristina. First one, the most serious one, what's your favorite game of all time?
Oblivion, absolutely.
Oblivion. Andreea, if you're there?
I'm here.
Yes. Favorite game of all time?
Are you speaking to me?
Yes. The question was, what's your favorite game of all time? The most serious question of the day.
What's my favorite game?
All time.
Of all time. In terms of what I played when I was a child, and I didn't even know I did, it was StarCraft. And now if I'm considering what has the European game development industry to offer, I think I really like some of the puzzle adventure games and some of the Hopa games that the Serbians are so well known for, and also this War of Mine, which is a Polish game, which I think is absolutely amazing. I love it, together with obviously The Witcher.
Andreea, and then let's go to the less serious question. What do you think is the biggest challenge when it comes to IP among small and video game developers?
Well, as I think, I think my presentation bluntly put it, I think the biggest challenge in our industry in Europe and especially in our countries is the creation of original IP. And another thing that I think is very important to say, and I haven't mentioned it before, is that I do not think that our studios actually prepare for success and for fame, and they don't protect their IP. So even those that actually create original IP, a lot of them don't know how to protect it, don't know how to transfer IP from the artist, for example, to the owner, to the developer, don't know actually what to do with the IP once they get into contract with publishers and with investors or anything like that. So I think education, when I was talking about entrepreneurial education, I think this type of IP law is also very, very relevant for studios. It's very important for them to know, it's very important for them to prepare for success. And that also means safeguarding their IP the right way. And I think this is very, very important. And I hope we can work together with WIPO to make sure that this is something that they know how to do.
In your presentation, this passion for biz, and that's IP is a very important part of that passion in biz, to how to use it for your growth as a video game developer, small or medium-sized or big. Kristina, the same question to you.
I agree with everything Andreea has said, but definitely awareness, at least for our indie teams here. They are so invested in working on their own projects. Of course, they want to ship the game as soon as possible. So whenever we tried to organize these types of events locally, the interest was very low. I think as soon as you mention IP, they just shut down. They don't want to know. They're not interested. So that's
exactly, Kristina.
So that's maybe an advice for all of you here today. Whenever you are communicating directly to the game dev community, whether you are from the tax part of the business ecosystem, or from the legal part, or from the IP official institutions, you need to find a language that they understand. So no big words, keep it as simple as you can, and just give them the numbers and the reasons why it's important for them to think about these things, not after they publish the game, but as soon as they start the development.
Thanks so much. No, I absolutely agree, and this is something we've also took a lot of thought about that, and I'm going to present a new project that's upcoming, and definitely I imagine the most interesting thing is to have hours and hours of lectures about paragraph 56 of treaty from 1974. This is what all the game developers, I'm sure, would love to listen to and to hear. And of course, I know that the SME community, the video game development community, has a very limited time for dealing with and learning about intellectual property, because of course of all the hundreds and thousands of tasks they have on a daily basis. So of course I know that we have to exactly try to adopt to have it as condensed and as short as possible for the industry itself. So if you would say, how could such institutions exactly like ours support you? We also understand that it's also sometimes better to be in a place where the industry is. So we have seen this not only for the video game industry, but in general for SMEs communities. Of course, it's difficult to get them to participate in events such as these for specifically on intellectual property. But the hope is that we have really passionate people here, and I don't want to take the time for the next presentation. I would love to really continue the panel and to discuss the next hours, because there's a lot of great issues, and we'll continue, I'm sure, during the breaks and further on. But we would have to move on to the next panel because of the time. Andreea, Kristina, thank you so much, and Kristina, again, thank you. SGA for the really excellent arrangements.
Thank you.
But really, thank you, and it's really very, very well organized, and we're happy to support the community here.
Us as well. Bye, Andreea. I don't know if you can see me.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great event. Have a great day. Bye.